what can I do for you? I feel like a lot of people forget that etiquette is not about a social class. It's not about being upper class, middle class, lower class, poor, rich, wealthy, whatever. It's about having the common courtesy for others and yourself, having self-respect. So this first episode, I want to talk about just basic manners. So let's get started. Again, if you watch my word of the day videos, I typically always have a dictionary and a thesaurus. Very thick, right? Well, this is much thicker. This is an etiquette book from Emily Post, and Emily Post has been around since 1922, but this is redone by Lizzie Post and Daniel Post Senning. So I take all of my notes from this, as well as just my basic knowledge on basic manners and etiquette. The basic manners are please, thank you, you're welcome, hello, good morning, excuse me, pardon me, etc. And I just believe that it's kind of lost, we get so surprised when somebody holds the door open for us rather than actually just embodying that it's supposed to be done, that when somebody asks a question and you answer them and then they say, oh, thank you, I appreciate that, and we're surprised that somebody actually said thank you. Or maybe when you're speaking and all of a sudden somebody interrupts you, but they actually pardon themselves and say, oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, go ahead. Those are just basic etiquette and manners to have. So I know that even in customer service, you ever go somewhere and they don't even greet you with a good morning? And I've worked in customer service, I've worked in retail, so I know what that's like to just be having a bad day and maybe working with some customers that are a little bit more difficult to deal with. But I feel like that's a great experience that can test your manners and your patience. So working with customer service with someone who actually greets you with a hello, how are you doing? How may I help you? Rather than what can I do for you? Doesn't that immediately just kind of set you off? It kind of makes you feel like they aren't welcoming you in to their service. It's just more of a, what do you want? It's very rude, and nothing about etiquette has to be uppity and rude or bougie. It's more so having that self-respect for yourself and having that respect for somebody else and being courteous. So let's talk about I'm sorry. I want to start with I'm sorry because I feel like there's a couple different ways people say I'm sorry. There is the genuine apology. That is truly, I am so sorry for hurting you or for saying this or for interrupting you. Then there's just the I'm sorry. Someone comes at you the wrong way or expresses themselves in a manner that is very rude and you say, excuse me, like a pardon me? Run that by me again? You should really normalize saying I'm sorry because it shows selflessness. Let's talk about you're welcome and thank you. I know that we also tend to just brush things off as a no problem, and that's another point in the book that talks about not brushing off a deed or something that you've done, not being boastful about it and just saying, yeah, you're welcome, I did that. But rather just, no, sincerely, you're welcome, I'm glad I could help you. So when someone does something for you and you say thank you, I hope the other person says, you're welcome. Now let's talk about hello. So in another episode, I will go more in depth about greetings because I feel like even myself, when I address certain people, I don't know if I should say Mr., Ms., Mrs., Miss, it gets kind of tricky, but that'll be in another episode. But rather just saying hello and hi. And something that I'm going to talk about is the informal and formal ways of saying hello. I wrote down the informal greetings of hello, which is kind of like a hey up, what's up? The formal way to say it is hello, how do you do? And I love the how do you do. It's so interesting because you look at the old films from back in the day. Again, I am that kind of a nerd who loves vintage films where maybe the more elite would say how do you do to a stranger, because that's actually the proper way to greet a stranger that you don't know or an acquaintance, is to say how do you do. And another formal way is addressing them by their last name or by Mr. or Miss, But again, I will get more into that in another episode. The last two things I want to talk about when it comes to basic manners are please and may I. So in the etiquette book, it talks about how when you're young, your parents, your guardians, your grandparents, your elders teach you how important it is to say please and may I. And when you're asking for something, it is important to say please because it shows that it is a request rather than a command or a demand. So when you say may I, it's more so showing that respect of a request rather than give me this or I want this. And I know lots of kids, they want things and they don't know how to express that. And so we teach kids at a young age saying please and thank you and may I and why that's so important. Not only with your elders, but with your colleagues and your peers that are your age. It just shows respect. Oh my gosh, hi, me again. Popping in to add. I wanted to add that because of the pandemic, we've been more so wearing masks and people can't really see our face all the way, so smiling is harder to do. However, even before the pandemic, people weren't really greeting with smiles. Not everyone, I don't want to generalize the population, but greeting with a smile is also a part of etiquette. Just, hi, how are you? Just showing that openness and that friendliness. And I really believe that's super important too with manners. Now, I know that there are going to be a lot of people who come at me saying, I don't want to be told to smile, or I don't have to smile and everything, but okay. I'm not telling you to smile. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just helping people broaden their understanding and knowledge of common etiquette and basic manners. You don't have to take any of this. Take it with a grain of salt. It is my channel and I want to teach on what I want to teach on, and that's that. Take it as you will. I'm never going to tell you this is what you need to do when it comes to etiquette. Smile more. Because even me, I didn't like to smile for a long time. That's a whole nother video, but I will go into just how I didn't like school pictures because the person taking the picture would try to tell me to smile and I would just sit there like, but I love to smile. I think that it's very welcoming and it's very, very open and friendly. So actually you can tell when somebody's smiling even with a mask on. You know, their eyes do something different and their face kind of lifts a bit. So you can pay attention to that. Don't really stare at someone like, are you smiling? Tell you're not smiling, you know. Don't be like that, but you can tell when somebody is smiling behind their mask. I hope that you enjoyed this first episode. Please leave me a comment below on any basic manners I may have missed or any ones that you think should be included in this series. I hope that you will join me for another episode of the Etiquette Series.